The royal court of the Helian Dominion prided itself on its order, precision, and unshakable certainty. Every decision was calculated. Every bond was mapped by genetic charts. Every heir was planned decades in advance. Nothing was left to chance. Nothing was left to hope. The Dominion believed that biology was destiny, and destiny was something crafted like a machine. That belief shattered the day Princess Lyra was declared infertile. The announcement came during a royal gathering, where nobles from every corner of the sector had assembled. Lyra stood on the dais as healers displayed readings that none of the observers dared to question. The screen glowed with cold blue symbols. According to the Dominion's own science, she would never bear an heir. Gasps filled the hall. Not of sympathy, not of grief, of calculation. A princess with no future utility was a pawn waiting for a new board. Lyra kept her posture rigid. She had been raised to never show fear. But inside, something cracked. Her value in the eyes of her people had been reduced to a single biological function. Without it, they treated her as empty space. The king, her father, looked at her with disappointment disguised as royal composure. His mind was already shifting to political solutions. She could feel it. Within a cycle, he had made his decision. The Dominion had recently signed a treaty with the humans of the outer frontier. Humanity was known for resilience, unpredictability, and a strange talent for defying odds that baffled every strategic model. To cement the treaty, the king announced that Princess Lyra would be gifted to a human delegate. A symbolic offering. A gesture of unity to the king. It was a convenient disposal to Lyra. It was a banishment. The human selected was a frontier engineer named Thomas, not a noble, not a soldier, not a leader. The Dominion believed that pairing the princess with someone of no political significance would minimize complications. Thomas is chosen because he was reliable, calm, and free of diplomatic entanglements. He did not expect to become the companion of an alien princess. She did not expect to be sent away like a tool with a malfunction. Their first meeting took place aboard a neutral vessel suspended in orbit, above a quiet moon. Lyra sat with the straight posture of someone who had trained for a lifetime to hide hurt. Thomas arrived with uncertain steps, doing his best to show respect. He bowed awkwardly. She nodded stiffly. Their eyes met with cautious curiosity. Thomas had never seen anyone like her. Her features were sharp yet graceful. Her hair shimmered with a metallic hue. Her gaze was intense, but tired. She looked like someone prepared for a duty she never asked for. Lyra had never seen a human up close. Thomas looked simple in comparison to her people, but there was strength in his stance. Not the rigid kind of her soldiers. A flexible kind. A living kind. Their bond began not with affection, but with shared bewilderment. The journey to the human frontier was long. During that time, Thomas tried to treat her not as a burden or political piece, but as a person. He asked questions about her culture. He explained his own. He spoke gently, even when she answered sharply. He offered help even when she refused. Slowly, Lyra began to relax. She learned to appreciate the small kindnesses that were never present at the Helian court. He brewed warm drinks for her during cold nights. He adjusted the ship's lighting to suit her vision. He listened without judgment. For the first time in cycles, she felt seen. When they arrived on his home world, a modest frontier colony, the people welcomed her with curious respect. No one treated her as broken. No one measured her value. She was simply Lyra. Time passed. Seasons changed. The treaty was upheld. Lyra began working with human researchers, sharing knowledge of energy fields and cosmic biology. Thomas continued his engineering duties while supporting her quiet adaptation to human life. They fell into a comfortable partnership, not forced, not decreed, natural. And then came the moment that changed everything. Lyra collapsed one morning while walking near the colony's lakeside. Tomas rushed her to the medical center. Human doctors examined her, puzzled at first by her physiology. But after a long analysis, they came back with a result that stunned both of them. Lyra was pregnant. It should have been impossible. The Helian healers had declared her infertile. Dominion science had been absolute. But human biology interacted with hers in unpredictable ways, forming connections that the Dominion had never considered. Lyra cried for the first time in years. Tomas held her with a gentleness that steadied her shaking breath. Life had proved stronger than the Dominion certainty. The news spread across the frontier, then across human space. Finally, it reached the Helian Dominion. The reaction in the royal court was explosive. The king had always prided himself on control, but now he saw that control slipping through his hands. His daughter, discarded by his decree, now carried an heir. And not just any heir. A hybrid child that could unite two species in a way no treaty could. The king's fury erupted in private councils. He slammed his fist against data tables. He accused his advisors of incompetence. He demanded explanations from healers. How could they have been wrong? How could a human succeed where Helian science had failed? Every noble knew the truth. The king was no longer angry about the medical error. He was angry that the future of his line, and possibly his throne, now rested outside his reach. He summoned Lyra back to the Dominion. He claimed it was for her safety. He claimed it was for diplomatic stability. He claimed the child must be raised in the royal cradle. Lyra refused. She sent her message through official channels, her voice calm but firm. She declared that she would not return to a court that cast her aside. Her place was with those who treated her with dignity. Her child would grow where respect was present. The refusal shook the Dominion. The king issued a formal demand. Tomas stood at Lyra's side as she denied it again. The Dominion threatened diplomatic consequences. Humanity responded with a united stance behind the couple. Humanity was not known to bow to intimidation. Meanwhile, the common people of both species began to speak. Many saw the child as a symbol of hope. Some saw it as a sign of change. Others saw it as a challenge to old systems. The king saw it as a threat. Tensions escalated through the sector. Fleets drifted near borders. Councils met in shadowed rooms. Yet through it all, Lyra and Tomas remained steady. They focused on preparing for their child's arrival. They built a small home on the colony's hillside. They gathered supplies. They shared quiet evenings under unfamiliar stars. Lyra often placed her hand on her growing stomach. She felt warmth that was more than physical. It was purpose. It was love. It was a future she chose. The king, unable to force compliance, attempted a final strategy. He announced that if Lyra did not return, he would disown her, stripping her child of any claim. He expected this to frighten her. He expected Tomas to waver, but Lyra's reply was unwavering. She declared that legacy was not determined by royal decree. Her child did not need a throne to have value. She did not need a title to be a mother. The declaration spread across both civilizations. Many Helian citizens admired her courage. Many humans felt inspired. The king found himself resisting a tide of sympathy that he could not contain. Pressure grew on the Dominion to accept the situation peacefully. Nobles argued that attempting to retrieve Lyra by force would cause unrest. Advisors warned that the people viewed the child as a unifying figure. The king's authority began to crack. And the day arrived. The child was born during a calm, morning under a rising frontier sun. Tomas stayed by Lyra's side throughout the birth. The medical team worked with practiced care. When the child let out its first cry, the sound echoed across the room with strength neither human nor Helian alone could explain. A new life. A new bridge between worlds. Lyra held the child with wonder. Tomas looked at them both with awe. The child had gentle markings along the skin, glowing faintly, combined with human warmth and softness. A perfect blend. A sign of possibilities. Word spread fast. The Dominion citizens celebrated quietly in defiance of the king's stance. Human colonies rejoiced openly. Messages of unity flooded across star channels. The king received the news in silence. He stared at the reports, at the images, at the undeniable life that contradicted all he believed. His anger simmered, but beneath it lay something he would never admit, regret, that he had thrown away. What he now wished to claim. He called for another meeting with his advisors, but they no longer carried the same fear in their eyes. They spoke openly. They said the child must be recognized. They said that public support favored reconciliation. They said the future demanded acceptance. The king gave no response. Not then. 2 months later, the Dominion sent a formal envoy to the frontier colony. Not to retrieve Lyra, not to demand rights, to offer recognition. The envoy arrived with gifts and a message of peace. The Dominion would acknowledge the child as a symbol of unity. The throne would not interfere in Lyra's life. The king would not claim the heir, but the Dominion would honor the child's existence. The ambassador delivered the message with careful humility. Tomas stood quietly. Lyra listened without showing her inner thoughts. She accepted. The ambassador bowed and departed. In the years that followed, the child grew strong. Lyra and Tomas raised them with equal parts wisdom and warmth. Scholars from both species visited to study cross-species harmony. Children from the colony played alongside the hybrid child without fear. Peace expanded across the sec.